Hello and welcome to the Town End Podcast. It's still season 2, episode 42 or 92 as it is overall. We just said we'll jump on for a quick little update in where we stand with Dundalk Football Club, who's signed, who hasn't signed. Fixtures, obviously, we got our full fixture list last week as well. And we have a new jersey out home and away. So to go through all of that tonight, we have Gally. Gally, how are you?
Evening.
And this is going to go one way or the other. We also have Pingu. Pingu, how are you, pal?
Eat my dogs.
Oh, we got him.
He's crystal clear. He's crystal clear as well.
He's crystal clear now. Yeah. Apologies for a delay coming on. We had massive delay with Pingu coming on, so we had to get those technical issues sorted. Gents, it's good to see us. It's been a while.
It's been too long. Ish. Well, maybe people for listening, it probably hasn't been long enough.
Yeah. Well, look, Pingu, we'll come to yourself first.
I missed the last episode.
Oh, this is so you have even longer.
Sorry, yeah, I think there's the delay. Yeah, I missed the last episode, but I was waiting on my Wi-Fi to start working. It's only just started working now, so thankfully I got on for this.
Perfect. Look, I think, lads, the best place to start is where we currently stand with the Dundalk FC squad for the new season coming up. So obviously, probably the big news coming from the club and two former players as they are now is we will no longer have Brian Gartland and Davy Mack. Pingu, like they're two pillars of these teams over the past few years. It's an awful shame, isn't it? Like, but I suppose these things do happen.
Yeah, I've been in mourning since the news broke about Garth leaving. Absolutely devastated with that one. You know, between him and Davy Mack, I mean, Garth was one season off his testimonial. So that one's a tough one to take. He's a leader. You know, I think he's the definition of someone who's embedded himself in the club, in the community as well. You know, he's well, you wouldn't call him an outsider anymore, but he was an outsider back in 2013 when he came in, and quickly he changed his life and saw the light and became an honorary Dundalkian. So that's going to be massive shoes to fill in the dressing room. I think, you know, even though he didn't play a lot last year, but I think that's going to be enormous boots to fill next year. And then Davy Mack, I mean, again, Davy came up with the goods at times last season when we needed him, and he was that kind of a player, wasn't he? Probably not as prolific as Hooben has been with Dundalk, but he's probably had as many kind of big moments, if not more, you know, where his goals have proven to be kind of vital in European marches, cup finals, league winning seasons. You know, he's had massive impact on the club. So we're not just losing to years into professional. Just hope that. Well, I think the news is it hasn't officially been announced, but I know there's strong rumours that Benson and Hedges, Benson and Mountney are sticking around for next year. So I think having those two, you know, again that's going to help along with Hooben. But yeah, it's pretty sad to be losing two kind of stalwarts of previous eras and two you know, proven winners in the squad. But you'd hope with Garth, you know, living local, that potentially there might be an opportunity for him in the academy or to do something and stay involved in the club in some capacity.
Yeah, Gally, look, I mean, Pingu's kind of mentioned it there.
Would I break it up?
Well, you'd think, wouldn't you? Gally, look, I think Pingu's kind of touched on a lot of it there, but like these are two players who've been around for like the most successful time at this club, and like Pingu mentioned, Davy Mack always came up with goals at big times for the club as well. You know, we think of that FAI Cup final, the hat trick, even, you know, the last game of the season there is free kick, and then the other pass in then for Runer as well. I mean, he's been a big player for this club, hasn't he?
Oh, massive, and probably underrated in some respects, because you've got, you know, Pat Hooben's been the ever-present kind of up front. I know when Pat went, I was going to say abroad, but when Pat went to England, you know, Davy Mack kind of took on that mantle. We've had some players come in, you know, when you think of the players that's come up against Davy Mack for a position, you know, you've had Roland Murray come in, you know, as well. It was in standard League of Ireland football at the time, and you know, that's just off the top of my head. But there's been so many players to come in, and it'll be interesting to see if he continues to play. You know, he hasn't retired like Garth. You hope it's one of those players. You hope he doesn't come back to haunt you at some stage. But I'd be very surprised if he's not playing for somebody. I don't know what the plans are or what he has, but I just think, it's it's not going to be difficult to replace the player. So it's the experience more than anything else. So that kind of, when you're missing, like, I don't know what, James Rogers might be able to tell us. I don't know what kind of stats they have between them, what appearance they have, but it's in the couple of hundred, and it's, you can't buy that type of thing, Like, I mean, at the pump, like, Davy Mack probably the best in the league when Pat wasn't there. And that's the level. We probably the two best strikers in the league.
Yeah,
at the time,
and that European record still stands.
Like, when you think of Tala, like, any time somebody says Davy Max goes, I immediately go to Tala. It's Oriel Park's been great for him as well, but Tala, that particular season in Tala was just outstanding. And look, it's sad to see players like that go. I think he probably knows himself, at Dundalk, especially with a fully fit Pat Hoban. He's probably not going to get enough game time as he wants now. I don't know if it was his decision or if he wasn't in the plans, but. Look, he's a cracking signer for somebody. I mean, outside of maybe Derry and Rovers, I think he gets into pretty much any squad in the league. Maybe not as a 90-minute player, but he's definitely there for most of them. And look, you just have to wish him all the best. Garth, on the other hand, unfortunately, he's retired, and like, we're talking. I think I tweeted he's probably the best centre half we've had, and like in that generation of players, when players gone before him that have been top class, but. In my time watching Dundalk, I don't think there's anybody been better. I mean, Andy Boyle on his day is right up there as well. But, for just being an immense, colossal centre-half, there probably hasn't been anybody better. And, it's a pity. But like the Pingu was saying, you hope he sticks around. He's local, married, local business as well. So you hope he's there or thereabouts, a bit of coaching, something like that. Or, even scouting, even the opposition analysis. I don't know if we have one of them or what's it, but if that's available, I think to keep someone like that at the club is massive. And look, it's a pity, but it's eras have to restart, and that's it's a chance for somebody else to come in. It'll be interesting to see who comes in as a signing, but it's a chance for Stevie to stamp his mark with new signings and somebody to take that kind of add to that experience and take over from the two boys.
Pingu, I mean, I think we can look here at I suppose the current squad where we are. We've question marks are in brackets on a couple of players here. You've already mentioned Mountney and Brenson, Nathan Shepherd. We haven't got the confirmation of the additional year, the option on that being rubber stamped, and just at the moment. What's your thoughts on the current squad, Pingu, of what we have and what do we need still?
We need a lot. I mean, I think we're definitely we're in better shape than we were this time last year. I try to put a bit of perspective on it, and I know, and I would agree with a lot of the supporters. The frustrations that are we going to go down the road of having loanees from England again, which all talk kind of coming out from the Dundalk campus that they are going to wait until the January transfer window opens in the UK before they do start looking at players. But I still think we're probably better off than we were this time last year, because everything was up in limbo until Stevie actually came in. And I think with the 12 days of Christmas, we didn't have a player signed, did we, last year, apart from Ryan O'Kane?
And Iowa, I think that was the only two, wasn't it? And Andy Boyle.
4 players. Yeah, and like out of those 12 days, there was only about 4 or 5 signings, so we're in a better position than we were last year. I suppose the one thing that I'd agree with a lot of the frustrations is, there's some good players that have left clubs around the league and have signed for players or teams that you would consider rivals. And that's probably a little bit worry, but I mean, look, as I said, this time last year, Stevie produced the goods with your Shepherds, your Joe Adams, your Stephen Bradley. So why would we doubt him again? That kind of way.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm trying to be optimistic about it, but yeah, it would be nice to have kind of one marquee signing before Christmas, wouldn't it? Before the holidays hit, and just to kind of get everybody buzzing again, because that seems to be the big question that's going around social media is it just going to be a squad of these lads plus loanees again? And I don't know how sustainable that's going to be long term.
Yeah, Gally, your thoughts on, I suppose, the bones of the squad that's there at the moment. I mean, I'm looking at the middle of the park, and I'm seeing Sloggett, Boyle, Lewis, Wardy. Like that's pretty good for for a spine of a team there. You still have Boyle, you still have Darragh Leahy, you've got Kelly and O'Kane, Hoban, Martin. You do have a couple of options there. Like there's the crux of a fairly well organized team there already, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, like the midfield itself, there's like when you look at it there, just as you mentioned, there's nobody really missing. Sam Bones probably, as a CDM is probably really the only one that's actually missing from it. And whether we make signings, I don't know if there'll be too many midfielders added to it. Obviously, look at centre half, we have an issue. We had an issue regardless of squad size last year as well. So it'll be interesting to see who comes in. Like the obvious issues we have is centre half and up front. Now, depending on where Stevie's going to play, but another injury to Pat Hoban really, they're not going to leave no stone unturned. Trying to sign a striker, I don't think, because they're going to have to be, realistic about it and say, look, that's definitely what they're lacking. But I mean, you've got 15 players there. I know there's 3 questions over 3 of the players, but I mean, it's not bad. I mean, look, when you consider, like what Pingu was saying, when you consider this time last year, 12 days of Christmas, a couple of signings. But I mean, as re-signings go, you have to be delighted with that. I mean, look, yes, you would have loved Gareth for another year, but would he have played much? I don't know. I mean, but even, as someone coming off the bench, it would have been fantastic to have him. But like I say, there's an opportunity there for Stephen to really put his mark down and get a player in. For the only real red flag I have is at centre half. We need, if you look at that squad, we need a starting centre half. So it's not so much packing the squad now. They actually need someone to come in and play alongside Andy Boyle. Even if you go,
we probably didn't see the best of Robbie McCourt, though, did we?
No, I mean, look at him. He's been bogged with injuries. Didn't play a lot at Sligo either, truth be told. But yeah, and just Frank got in there before me. I mean, we're talking about Ben McCormick. I think that Ben McCormick has been talked about since even the season ended.
Before. Yeah.
So we're hoping somebody. For me, the Boyle signing is interesting because he signed a 2-year contract, which I don't think anybody really seen coming. So it'd be interesting to see if that's to play alongside a young centre half, like someone like Ben McCormick, or somebody from the 19s, or a loanee coming in with not a lot of experience in the league. Whereas if someone with Boyle's experience beside them, there's obviously method in, I won't say madness, but there's method in that kind of signing. It was probably an eye opener. It was a real shock to me that he signed 2-year contract. But look, Stevie knows him better than anybody. He's played with him. He's been captain with him, and so the real issue there is centre half for me. And that's look, if you got someone like Ben McCormick in and supplemented with some of the 19s, I don't see any issue with that. I see Kieran's comment with Paddy Barrett. I mean, I spoke about Paddy last year. Like Sam Bone is almost identical. So I'd be very I don't want to go have the season has started. We haven't got the Christmas yet, but I wouldn't be letting Sam Bone not sign and bringing in Paddy Barrett. That's my opinion on it. I think Sam Bone is an all-round better baller. They're both erratic, but if Sam Bone isn't going to re-sign, I would have been very surprised if Paddy Barrett signed. But look, definitely a good footballer. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But for me, he's just a little bit. He's just not what's needed at the minute. I think they need a really strong presence, even if it's not League of Ireland experience at the back. And I'm only talking about the back because I think we're very strong in midfield. I think if everybody's fit, ready to go, our midfield is. I won't say it's as good as Rovers, but I mean it's contending. I mean it's definitely up there. I mean if you were to cut all those midfield out, they'd all sign for everybody in the league, our rivals. Derry, Rovers, Bows. Well, Bows, I say that word loosely, but we'll see what Declan Devine does next season. But it's a really strong start. Yes, like Pingu said, you'd love a marquee signing. One would do, I think. One, it's a pity it's not League of Ireland experience. I really think anybody that's got it is probably gone. Somebody who's really a character in the league, a real top baller, is probably already gone to someone else. So whether or not there's anybody available, but yeah, like Frank said, Ben McCormick for me would be an excellent signing. Now look, there's other players we mentioned. I know Tiernan on the last podcast, the last season, had mentioned some of the 19s coming through, and there's some real talent there as well. So I'd hold firm on it. You would have loved to see a signing before Christmas, especially to go with the launch of the jersey. But look, who are we to question anybody? That Stephen's going to be signing or anything like that. But yeah, look, centre half striker for me has got to be sorted. But look, we take it as
that's just what I was going to say to yourself. Obviously, we've lost Davy Mack, so we need a new option up top. Obviously, we'll have Mountney probably for the right side of defence, but we probably need another option there. And we also seen when Leahy was injured last year, we were stuck to get somebody to play on the left-hand side then as well. So there's still a couple, just even looking at that right now, you'd say their areas need strengthening straight away.
Yeah, I would think that, is this better, by the way?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. I would think that probably John Martin's probably going to be the number 2 choice up top, so I would say this year, especially with the emergence of Ryan O'Kane and in that latter part of the season, that that's going to be, he's going to have the left wing sewn up as his position and Kelly probably on the right. But yeah, it's at the back. That's probably the priority area, because I mean, again, McCord, we saw 26 minutes or something like that out of him. You would like to see more. I mean, hopefully there's a reason that Stephen signed him and it wasn't just a kind of knee-jerk reaction to get someone in place of Mark Connolly, but you would hope that he'll have someone there that will he'll have someone lined up that will improve things, and who knows, there could be players out there. I mean, we can give a shout out to former Dundalk man that's been without a club since August, Michael Hector. Maybe he'd be interested in coming back and giving another shot. I know he's been struggling with injuries and maybe he wouldn't want to play on the AstroTurf, but there is options out there. You know what I mean? So I for me it would be that back line is the priority. I think I really think he needs probably another really strong centre half in there, and as you say, someone that can probably play either side of the 2 centre backs in place of Mountney and Lee, because both of those lads are susceptible to get injuries. I got a dictionary for Christmas, lads, so I'm going to use it.
I thought it was word of the day, toilet paper.
That's just got tucked the words at me, mate.
But yeah, no, that would be 100%. That would be the priority for me, is sort out the back line, and I'm sure that's probably the way that Stevie's looking at it.
I just like the way Donald Hanks lad said that he's available, yet he's not available for this podcast tonight. So just one last thing there with that. Just for the purposes, I suppose, of those who are listening at the moment. So obviously Cherry, Boyle, McCourt, Leahy, Sloggett, Doyle, Ward, Lewis, Kelly, Houben, O'Kane and Martin are all confirmed signings, with Benson, Mountney and Shepherd being the ones we just had question marks over from last year. They were unsure of their current status in the squad. I suppose last week then, lads, we also had the opening fixtures come through, shortly followed by the full fixture list. We might have a quick look at them now, if that's all right, lads. It's not the worst opening, Gally.
No, normally no, it wouldn't be, but then we said this, going by last season, you don't really want to play them either.
No, we don't want to play UCD in the bowl. We're no good at that, but in Oriel we seem to be okay with that part.
Yeah, and one thing I will say, fair play, they've rebranded the League of Ireland, and I like the way they kind of drip fed the fixtures out. Really, something a little bit different, and then kind of waited a couple of days to see. But yeah, look, UCD home, it's not the, I think there'll be a massive crowd at it because it's first game of the season. But would you have liked a bigger team at home? Absolutely. But I mean, get off to an easy start, UCD and Bowes. But yeah, look, it's going to be tough. I know UCD were they were in by the skin of their teeth last year, but when it comes to football, there's not that disparity in the league anymore. I don't think there's a lot of, it's more squad than individuals than anything else. Look, UCD have probably lost one of their best footballers a couple of weeks ago to that team up north. But I'm getting a touch of the Donald Hanks there. I'm not mentioning certain teams and certain players, but yeah, look, it's could you have asked for a better start? I don't really think so. I mean, with the you really, with the exception of maybe Cork instead of Bows, but I mean, you don't know what Cork you're going to get. I mean,
No.
Cork are still, they've spent a couple of years away, but a massive club. I mean, what are you talking at Turner's Cross? 5,000 probably on a weekly on a weekly home match they'll have. So, you'd like to play that. You want to play them a little bit later. But yeah, UCD Bows, great start, home draw against anybody. We got a home win last year as well. Kick the season off hopefully with a good display, a good win. And look, you can't really add. You look, without sounding cliche, you can only play what's in front of you. But UCD, look, you take them. You'd like to think the 2023 squad will make bits of them.
Yeah, Pingu, you're thinking on the opening fixtures.
Raging.
Is that because it goes away on the 24th?
Yeah. I'm home that week, and I was hoping for a home game that I could get to my first Dundalk match since 2015, but I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer. But I think, look, in all seriousness, I think there's a good opportunity to get somewhere between 9 and 12 points in those opening 4 fixtures before you hit Derry City. So that would be the biggest thing. Like I heard Gally there, obviously I had some connection issues, but I heard him saying about you don't know what way Declan Devine's going to be, with the Bow squad, and just looking at the signings he's made, while they haven't been terrible, they haven't really made me panic that they're going to be any better than they were this year so far. So you would hope at least from those 2 fixtures in the opening in February that you would get 6 points, and then if you're able to get a scalp on St. Pat's early, we don't know what Shells are going to look like at the minute either, but if you can get a scalp on one of those 2 teams and get 9 from 12 or even get 10 from 12 and go in unbeaten before you play Derry City, then obviously it's not a great 3 games after that. There's tough fixtures and but I definitely think those first 4 fixtures there's points to get, and that was probably where we struggled a little bit at the start last year. So I think a good start would be massive sign of intent from Stevie and the squad.
Gally, just I suppose the other thing of note in those opening fixtures is the Drogheda United away on St. Patrick's Day.
Absolute madness! Like
if you can't market that one,
like I can't believe they've drawn it like that on St. Patrick's Day. It's going to be like, I think somebody put up, it's going to be carnage. It will be absolute carnage.
They're going to play it at 9 o'clock in the morning.
They're going to have to, they're going to have to play it at 9. Yeah. It's like, what a fixture to have. What a way to kick off the derbies for the season. Like, I don't know if is there a Dublin derby the same day. I'm not actually sure.
I think Bows play UCD, and then I think Pats and Rovers. I think
but yeah. Look, I mean, that's going to be, it's one of them games you don't know whether you want a ticket. Do you know what I mean? You don't know whether you want to watch it at home or just go to the match. But yeah, look, I mean, hopefully the league will be over by then. March 17th, we'll be that far ahead, it won't matter. But yeah, look, it's a massive. I mean, obviously you're counted down to the league, but even if you look, not to change the point, like even if you look, I've just noticed, if you look at Derry on the 10th of March, you have them a month later, pretty much.
Yeah,
like it's so tight. You're playing them twice in the space of 4 matches.
Look at May and June are just so crazy. Congested. Yeah. Like it's crazy, and I know they're clearing backlogs for European campaigns and stuff like that, but they are going to be hectic. Like that's back to Friday Monday again, isn't it?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of points and bragging points up for rights really early in the season, and you've got draw on St. Patrick's Day is just going to, like, I don't know how you judge your alcohol intake from 1 o'clock in the pub. I don't know what way that looks, but look, it's going to be great. Like already, it's going to be an unbelievable game. Like just for the day that's in it.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's going to be. I'm hoping to bang it on the television because there's not many fans going to get to it.
Yeah,
I think. Sorry, lad. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to just say, Pingu, just the fact that that fixture has got fans talking, though. That has to be a plus. There should be a way to make that work. Having eyes, people are going to be out of work and stuff like that off that day. There's a massive opportunity to get a game like that on TV and get eyeballs on the league. That should be how that fixture should be marketed, surely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But again, and I just saw Frank commenting in there as well about how it's going to be carnage and it might not be a game for the kids. Like, I think a game like that, what's the harm in doing a 12 o'clock kickoff or doing something, before parades?
Yeah.
And change it up. And that's the way to market the league too, because you're going to have, people maybe from Drogheda, from Dundalk that wouldn't usually go to games. They're off that day. So why don't we tip 20 minutes up the road and watch a match and then come back down and get shit faced, like, you know what I mean? But
And
why
that's
not
it,
do it?
and because it's a Friday night as well, you've got the double whammy. It's a Friday night and it's Paddy's Day, so you're off the Saturday. So it's a great week. You know, it could be a real great advertising for the league. You know, hopefully it doesn't two out of hand, like Frank's saying. But yeah, look,
that's the thing for me. If the FAI was thinking properly, you would make it a family event and do it before parade times and all that. You know, do it as I say, a 12 o'clock kickoff. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Ideal, yeah.
And as you say, it'd be something different. And that time of day, I mean, I'm sure some people you'd have to twist their arm to get them to switch over from the Dublin City Parade on RT1 to watch the game if it was on RT2. But why not? Like, you know, why not do something like that? I think it'd be great to do something different. I was just going to say there as well, just looking at the fixtures here, the last 5 games, well, if you take the draw to one out, but the last 5 games, if we have had to play for, like, that's not a bad run in as well. You know, finishing with UCD, like, if we're going for a league title, and I know it's early days to be saying things like that, I don't want to go all Steph McCavitt on it, but I think what a last game of the season, you know, to wrap things up or to get Europe again, and it looks like a decent, to me anyway, it looks like a decent run in. And if we're flying well in the cup and manage to get to a cup final, and we are kind of out of sight, or we've hit our objective of getting Europe again next year or whatever, that's an ideal time when you look at those fixtures to maybe rest some players too. So hopefully, getting way ahead of myself there, but hopefully that end of season run in of the last 3 or 4 games is good for the team, and there's still something to play for.
Yeah, and Gally, look, isn't it strange not to have Derry last game of the season?
Yes. Well, you actually had them really early. You don't have them, like, and Pingu's mentioned the last 2 games, like, you know, you've got Rovers and Derry back to back in August and September. I know we're talking way off here, but you know, if you're confident in your ability and Stephen setting these boys out for a long season and getting them involved, these are fixtures that got to be earmarking, because you're not playing anybody that's probably going to finish like above you if you're planning on going for the league in the last couple of matches. So like, you've got Rovers Derry out of the way. So you've only, you know what I mean? So it's tough games, but you're not playing the big hitters, I suppose. You know, obviously Damien Duff's massive giant killing Shelbourne are there, but sleeping giant, yeah.
The only thing is, I suppose,
we don't mention that, Kelly.
Yeah, one home game in that run, I suppose, is probably the only.
That's it. Yeah,
that's the only downturn on that. I suppose the other bit of news coming from Oriel Park over the past while is our new kit manufacturer being Player Fit. Obviously, we know them very, very well here at the podcast. So, like, Pingu, I'll come to you first, because you're probably saturating everything on social media right now to get a feedback, because you can't come and touch the jerseys. I mean, what's your take on the jerseys this year? What's your take on the feedback, I suppose, coming across on social media too?
Well, I think the fans owe a big thanks to the Town End podcast, because we've set the trend of wearing Player Fit first, you know, and getting it into the League of Ireland. So,
and special mention the Lily White Supporters Club, who wore 3 Sport earlier as well. Before them dog got them.
No, what was he?
There you go, right?
Yeah, good mind, Gally. But yeah, no, I mean, the gear looks very, very nice. I know in that picture there, the home jersey, you can't see the design on the sides of it, even though it's behind them there, Gally. You know, from the conversation we had privately, but no, I like it, and to be honest, I always did like the red away jerseys as well, you know, so it's nice to have a red and black. People are saying it's very bohemians, and I can't wait to play them. I'm actually looking forward to the third kit that they mentioned, and it's going to have, and I don't know if this is someone on a wind up, but it's going to have some of the phrases from the stuff that's around the town, you know, the things that were done last year. So it'd be interesting to see.
That's new information, Pingu. I didn't know that. That's exclusive.
I saw it somewhere.
Coming out from the Windy City.
I might have made all that up, Gally. But
I hope you didn't, because that sounds class.
No, I heard there's going to be a green one, and it's going to have those phrases on it for a third kit, because obviously when you play the teams that wear red and white Pats, well, Shells are red and blue. I saw their jerseys. It's septic. But no, I think the gear looks nice, and then they released that retro one, and everybody got in a tiz over that. Like, that retro jersey looks class, and I'm not too happy with Martin Connolly at the minute because I messaged him asking him to put a medium aside, and he said they're all sold out. So they only have sizes that don't really fit anybody, which doesn't make sense to have them in stock.
You can
Martin,
get the muscle fit though. John's modeling the muscle fit there.
He is, but look, it's great again, kind of like the CX era where you have an abundance of gear again. I suppose if I was to play devil's advocate on the whole thing, the only thing that kind of annoys me about it as someone that doesn't live here, and I'm sure any Dundalk fan that's listening into the podcast that doesn't live in Dundalk, whether you live in Dublin, whether you live out foreign, the inability to get the stuff, before Christmas or order the stuff, that's probably the only disappointing part. And I understand it took a little while for the club to get it out and to get the stock in, but it would be great to be able to order that, because I'm going to have to wait till February now till I come home to get it in person when we do our live show.
Oh, Jesus, right. That's a lot just happened there in that sentence. Gally, your thoughts on the new kit?
So yeah, good night. I sponsor aside, look, we spoke about this, but if we're talking about the actual jersey, I think it's quality. Like it's you get the build up to it. There's not a lot you can do with black and white. Like I actually thought it was last season, the M&D kit that was the middle of last season. That kit, like that was a fantastic kit that didn't get worn enough. I didn't like the last kit that we've had. I didn't like that design, but I think this is quality. Like, I mean, you can say what you like about the sponsor. I'm not a fan either. I know people get on to it, but it's not the gambling issue I get. But as an actual jersey concept, I think it's the best we've had since the Lily White Sports Club came up with the double one. And then do you remember what that was taken off? Do you remember that was done with CX Sport Pingu?
The double stripe, yeah.
But it's probably the nicest since that. Now I don't own too many home. I tend to go through the away jerseys when they're available. But for me, the white is class. The red and black, I was on the fence when I heard that this was I think I seen it online. I don't know if it was the commentary box. It was Jerry that said it might be going black and red. I assumed it was going to be, like Bose, but if I was critiquing it, I'd get rid of the white shorts. White shorts don't make sense on it. Black shorts for me, but
black shorts, yeah,
two really, really strong jerseys. I like away jerseys to be as mad as possible, because then you have more chance of wearing them literally when you're always away, and this won't get worn too much. The red didn't get worn.
We get a Halfpenny Tours or Anchor Tours one or something, match their seats maybe.
Yes, exactly, exactly. That's it, exactly. Yeah. That checkered tartan chewing gum look. Yeah. But it's no, big fan. It's probably the first time I've been a fan of both kits in a long time. Yeah, really, really, really good quality. Yeah, that's probably the nicest away kit. I know the G&O one was great, but the year we had the charcoal grey, do you remember that one? I don't know if that was Umbro or CX Sport. It was like a charcoal grey, it was like a striped as well. It was like that was really strong as well. But for me, I'm with Pingu. I'm interested to see the third one as well. But yeah, look, the gear looks great. I haven't actually been up to the shop yet, unfortunately, but the gear, look, the retro stuff is black and white retro. You can't beat it when it comes to retro jerseys in any club. If it's black and white, you really can't beat the retro look on a black and white kit. And yeah, to be it's top quality. I've seen a couple of the tops going around, the quarter zips, the jackets, the hybrid coats. I know what the jerseys like because the Bells have them, so I know what kind of quality they are, and they really are. It's really good stuff. It's cracking to see a local brand back involved. I know it didn't work out with CX Sport a couple of years ago, but I think these boys are on a different level, and yeah, the gear's really good, really, really nice.
Well, Pingu, it took him 36 minutes to get the Bells mentioned, but he done it. Fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He hasn't mentioned the Banshock yet.
It's registration time. I'm looking for players.
Pingu, I suppose the other announcement with the jerseys would be that there would be two types of the jersey. There's the player fit version, I suppose, and the supporters version, or whatever way you want to put this. What's your feeling on that, having two different types?
I mean, for me, it doesn't bother me. It seems to have bothered a lot of people. When you look at, I think it might have went on Oriel Web when the stuff was launched, because I like to see, when news breaks, I like to see that reaction. And there's people saying, "Oh, it's the club are cashing in," but every club does it. So why can't they? And if some lad is in a gym that looks good enough to wear it, like, I'm not going to buy one of those player edition ones that I don't think. I don't want to speak for the rest of you, but I don't know if you will either. Like, but. I know, yeah.
What's he trying to say?
Yeah, but you're right, Pingo. I mean, because you're not like, it's not so much cashing in. It's giving another option. It's not like you're going to buy. They're not asking people to buy 2 jerseys. You're only going to buy one anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm if there's an option for it, and that's what Playoff Fit. They're originally the Gaelic crowd, so like, they're athlete fit jerseys. So why not have that option for people who want to wear it like that? It wouldn't be. It looks like it's painted on. I wouldn't be a big fan of it. But that's what if you're like you said, if you're able to wear it, it's an option for people, and it attracts other people in that might not necessarily, normally buy gear from the club. So yeah, look,
exactly. Yeah,
whatever works for them. You're only going to buy one anyway, so like it doesn't really matter what one it is.
Yeah, and like my take on it is there's probably not going to be as many of them made as there is of the replicas. So people are going to get the replicas, but I just find it mad that people just find something to complain about. Like when I went on and saw it, I was like, what are you on about? Like if someone wants it, let them get it. If someone doesn't want it, fair enough. Like it's not going to make me lose any sleep and say, Jesus, what am I going to do to fit into this jersey? I'll just get the one for fat bastards. Like, you know what
I mean? Generic fit.
Yeah.
No, but really, really strong. Like, people. I know people wanted certain brands, and look, when I think of a black and white jersey, Adidas is the first one that comes to mind. I don't know about everybody else, but the 3 stripes, the 3 stripes black and white jersey would have been quality.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think they've knocked it out of the park. I think they're top class, and of course, it might come across as I'm biased, but I think the jersey's really, really strong. The gear's really quality, and look, I'm holding my hands up. I haven't been up to the shop yet, from what I've heard. Really good stuff. Yes, look.
No, that's the big thing too, and you see it even with the ever popular Town End t-shirts as well. There's so many different designs that can be made. Where if you get an Adidas jersey, you're getting, like, for the last few years, when you look at the Premiership, when you look at the match day jersey, it's very generic. All the clubs are wearing the same thing and it's a different color. So I think the opportunity to work with someone where your brand can be a little bit unique is definitely something that's good. And I don't know what the prices are up in Oriel, but they're Player Fit as a brand are affordable. They're probably more affordable than O'Neill's, who would have been my second choice, because they've released some nice gear for the People's Club up in Dublin. But I think Player Fit, as you say, they're local, and they can make, as I say, bespoke gear for the club, and you see that with the walkout, like the 2 Anthem.
I was just going to mention that next.
Our quality, like that white one, is lovely. I don't know how many people or how long they'd last in the lily white on a match night, but getting a white one and a black one, again, they're giving people variety. Where when we were with Umbro, you didn't have that kind of variety. You had a set of gear, and it was the same set of gear that Rovers, that Pats, that whoever had, just in a different color. Where at least with Player Fit here, it looks like there's different designs. I mean, I think I sent into the group chat the quarter zip that the club put in on. They put it up on Twitter. That they didn't even really advertise anywhere else. It's blue with a blue crest on it, and I think that's lovely. That's completely different to anything that the club is doing. So, just having variety of your own gear should suit everybody's needs, and I think that's great. And the biggest thing with Player Fit, whenever the online shop is launched, is I think they'll open up a shop, and anyone that uses them will know this, but they open up a shop for 2 or 3 weeks. You make your order, and then it's made to, the gear is made to order. So if you want that blue one, but they don't want to make 300 of them, you can get your blue one. It might take 5 weeks for you to get it, but you can order kind of what you want. So I think it's a great move by the club, and it's a great opportunity, as I say, to churn out gear, not just at the start of the year. Maybe there can be more stuff that happens, like towards the later part of the year as well, or the middle of the season. And I'd love to see, to be honest, and I don't want to go way off track, but I'd love to see that retro jersey actually worn for the cup or something. I think it'd look lovely, again, for some kind of a cause.
No, I think I was going to mention, obviously, was the walkout top in that as well, and the blue drill top, or a training top, seemed to be quite nice as well, because it had a white crest on it, on the blue and black, and it just looked good, like you say, Pingo, just for something different. It did look exceptionally good as well. On the launch night, obviously there was a couple of players there as well. We had Peter Cherry, Greg Sloggett, and the child himself, Ryan O'Kane, was all there, and the boys were actually wearing the gear, and as the stuff was hanging up and orders were being taken then as well. So like, it was nice to have that. Loads of people got into touch and place orders for the jerseys and stuff like this that was there as well. I think, you know, getting the club getting back to doing things like this in the Lillywhite, like we called on this for how long? You know, we used to do really good launches. We used to, you know, I remember being at the town hall when Robbie Benson and that was being announced, and Patrick McElhenney that day, and you know, we used to do massive big launches, and I just think when we moved to Umbro that time, I think a lot of it gets taken out of your hands towards when we had CX Plus. That time they were working with the club and in how do we do this and how do we launch the jersey and keep that connection with the club. So I really do feel, Pingu, kind of what you've just touched on there as well. We're getting back to these local links again. We're now working with another company, you know, a local company again, manufacturing this, and we're able to do a launch night. We're able to, you know, get these individual bits and pieces coming, and it seems like we, you know, there's a lot more interaction. Like, we had jerseys out, and we were kind of, you know, we're the great, not, you know, but we felt we kind of had to go with stuff because Umbro was signed on the dotted line, and you were with it, and that was just it. Towards now, it feels like the club had a little bit more of an input, and this is probably what, you know, fans would want. You know, that style of jersey, we all called for a home jersey that was just more plain. That's what we were calling for, and then we get this one. And you know, even I think, you know, whatever we say about the sponsor on it, but the fact that it's just plain black and plain white on the two jerseys, you know, the purple's gone. I know it's their logo and stuff, and they have their own branding that they like to have, but the fact that they've minimalized that onto the jerseys makes a massive impact, doesn't it, Gally? And I think you can see on the two jerseys on the screen there, if you're watching, what they're like. And if not, you know, I would recommend just anyone have a quick check there to have a look at them. But you know, I feel that the sponsors this time don't take away from the jersey as much as they had in previous years.
Yeah, it's aesthetically much more pleasing in the eyes, probably the best way to put it. I mean, look, sponsors could really dig their heels in as well, you know, because they know we want the colours up. But I mean, they've obviously known that, look, it's a betting company, and you can rock the boat the wrong way as well. But for me, it's as clean a jersey as you'll get. I mean, it's simple, it's direct, it's got the little beading around the top as well. The sleeves are excellent as well. It's not little touches, but nothing that's in your face. I remember, I think it was CX Sport as well that done the white. It was like a crisp white, but it had the lines coming up from the bottom. Oh yeah, faded. But unless you had the jersey hanging out over your shorts, if you took the jersey in, you couldn't actually see that detail. So it didn't really make any sense to add it in. But for me, yeah, look, I think it's as good as a home jersey we've had in a long, long time. But it's getting like, and what you said, just to, you know, reiterate your point on launches and stuff. Like, yeah, like, I mean, days like that, even, you know, signings that we make, people should be invited up. And, you know, I don't mean a free for all, but, you know, let's make, like Stephen Kenny used to do it in the Marsh and stuff like that. I mean, the master of signings was Sean Connor. Anybody who signed for Dundalk, Sean Connor brought in and paraded at the Crown Plaza, the fairways.
That's right, yeah.
But, you know, it was great. I mean, obviously a disaster of a season, but it was great. And that's like, you know, Brendan Ogle had alluded tonight. We done the presentation night for the supporters club. You need to pack the Lillywhite out. Lillywhite needs customers, needs to get busy. So let's put everything in there as much as you can within reason. You know, this is, you know, you got to get money into the club some way. And, you know, match nights are a given, you know, but, you know, stuff like that, launches, you know, player discussions, you know, podcasts, if they want to come looking for podcasts. But, you know, like, you know, a simple thing of signing a player, get them up, a couple of questions, good night. You know, you're done in an hour. Yeah. You know, the bar takes in a couple of quid. You know, it's all money. It's, you know, and that's what it's getting back into the, I hate using the word, but that community, you know, that's that, you know, we're kind of using this cliche now really, but that community spirit and getting people back on board. And, you know, like Pingu was saying, local brand, local company sponsoring, local staff, you know, it's two lads from Dundalk are working on it. I mean, two to my knowledge, could be more. Carl O'Connor, you know, Benny Conley as well, you know, local players, local Gaelic players, but, you know, heavily involved with the club from the locality, and that's what it's all about. And yeah, look, I think it's, from a jersey point of view, I think it's as good as anything that's in the league this season. I mean, I can't really think of anything that even comes close to it, to be honest. I mean, the dairy orange one's awful, you know. So after that, we've really gone overboard on that one. But you know, I don't think any. Probably Galway, maybe Galway have an excellent kit.
Yeah.
You know,
That was just for Ollie, I presume.
That's it. But I've yet to see anything as good as this. I know I'm completely biased, but you know, I'd be interested to see Wexford. Wexford haven't put their kit out yet. They're back to purple and yellow. I'd be interested to see that one. But
see what Kerry put out as well.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I'd agree with the 2 years, lads. I think, you know, having that launch night in the Lily White is a touch of genius, you know, because even Chris, you referenced, I think it was the end of 2014. It was right before it was the end of 2015 when the CX Sport stuff was launched in the town hall. And again, it was, you know, anyone could come into it, but it was a little bit formal, where I think doing things that are a little bit more informal, it's more inclusive of all Dundalk supporters, where it's not just, you know, your prawn sandwiches like Gally there that would be attending at the town hall.
Love the dicky boat.
Yeah, you want to be inclusive of everyone. So I think doing things in the Lily White, you know, I think it was a stroke of genius of the club just to have a launch there and just have the stuff hanging up and let people see it, let people
simple
touch
stuff,
it, see what the gear is like. And the 1903 inviting the once number 12 podcast, Irish soccer podcast, for I think it was 48 hours into to host it. But doing more in the Lily White, as you say, the funds, any beer drank that night, the money goes back into Dundalk Football Club. And the more money that goes into the club, the better caliber of player we can sign, you know, for every pint that's sold. Even if it's, you know, it might pay something towards people's wages. So the more things they can do. I mean, what I would love is, I'd love to see the upstairs in the YDC, and I know the bar's not there anymore, but if there was something could be installed there, then you could have bigger events. You know, like you could have a bigger jersey launch night, a little bit more semi-formal, but you have the opportunity to sell drink there. I don't think they have a license for over there, but that's something that maybe could be worked on over time. But yeah, I think just having more stuff in Oriel is going to benefit it throughout the time. And look, I think I've talked too much, and let's bring on the problem child, McKevitt there. I see him sitting down the bottom.
Steph.
Hey, Stephen.
Hi, Dean.
Are you well?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Gally. Yeah, I'm all good. Just listening to the Cavan man talking about money there. So
before you guys take off, Steph, just your take on the new jerseys and the new kit manufacturer in total and what they produce. What's your take on it?
Yeah, look, I think I really like it. I know there's been different opinions on it, and some people saying the home jerseys a wee bit plain and that, but I think it's great. Like I know there's other people giving out about the logo, the sponsor on the front, but look, they've backed the club again, so you can't have much complaints there.
Have you been up?
Yeah, it was up. I think it was the first night it was opened. All the gear was there and it looked great. Like some of the training gear and just the leisure wear and that's brilliant. Like it looks class. And then I know we've spoken about the retro jersey as well. I don't think they come in an extra large nose in yours, Dino. So I think you might be able to look. You might be able to look on that one. So I think the V-neck probably helps you out a little bit, but probably not enough, is it?
You're a tramp.
I'm only on. He's cursing at me. That's terrible.
You just say John has the muscle fit on there, so I don't think any of us would be buying that one.
No, I don't think so. Jesus, them arms. He must be practicing the long throw-ins for next season. But yeah, look. Hopefully they're all. I was up in Oriel a couple of weeks ago, and Ryan O'Kane was out in the pitch doing his own wee bit himself, and he'd cones, balls, he'd rebounders, he'd the wee dummy men and all, but like just showing the hard work he's putting in, and I'm sure all the lads are the same. They've all their own personal programs, like so. Look, we probably have more players in than we think we do, and but I think look, everyone's sort of saying, look, we haven't signed anybody. McKevitt doesn't know anything, like so, but like look, a signing that gets everyone excited, like, isn't it really? So
yeah,
I think everyone's waiting for the first signing. We're watching a few different teams like signing players, and you're wondering what are we going to sign anybody? But look, I think January probably will be the start of January, and players probably from the UK and everywhere else will probably become available in the January window. So I'd say we could see a couple just flurrying through it, and hopefully
a couple of Clancy Cup winners maybe.
A couple of lads obviously are on World Cup duty, so we're probably waiting for them to come back.
Jack Wilshere signing, is he?
Yeah, to be fair, I hear our owner came over for the quarterfinals, so one of our owners was over in Qatar for it. So yeah, it could have been on a scouting mission.
Obviously, a scouting mission, surely, yeah. So
obviously,
couple of the Moroccans take a couple over, and do you know what I mean? Bed them into the town.
Dundalk Society, absolutely. Steph, look, we quickly chatted earlier on, and we kind of went in depth into what we have and what we don't have. We probably all highlighted that defensively we still need a lot of work to kind of have a strong enough team that you would say would be able to take on the league. You know, we've still no confirmation with John Mountney not having re-signed just yet, so technically we still know right back. You know, we've seen problems last year when we lost Dara Leahy, for instance, on the left, and we only have you know, Boyler and McCourt as two centre halves after losing Garts this year. So like there's plenty of strength still needed in that, even just the defensive capabilities of this team for next year. Yeah,
look, I think it'll probably be a no-brainer that Mountney and Benson will probably be signed back. I think I don't know if it's done yet or not, but I reckon it'll only be a matter of time before it's announced. I know there's question marks over Shepherd, but surely there was a reactivation clause or something agreed. So hopefully that's done as well. Shepherd has been massive for us, approved Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year, I think he got as well. So the defense should sort of be saying we need to strengthen up big time. You definitely want, like, the jury sort of out in McCourt. He sort of come in at a bad time for himself, having played much. Obviously, he was thrown straight in at the deep end against Rovers, and like a massive thing for him could be just coming in fresh now, pre-season behind him. Like he was a good player for Waterford, and look, he just wasn't in favour in Sligo, and there was a few boys ahead of him who I think are quality. Like if he was looking at the left back spot, like Kirk was very good for them last year, and he's got his move to Bowes. I thought the centre half, the left hand side centre half, was probably one of the best defenders in the league. I can't think of his name. He was a foreign lad, Pinjar or something like that.
Oh yeah.
He one of God's children. One of God's children. But yeah, look, he had a tough task to get in ahead of them boys, and then when he came in for us, it was sort of at the wrong time. He's come into that Rovers game, and then he ended up getting injured, I think, as well in the process. Yeah. So, look, he could. A cliche. He's probably like just like signing a new player for us, really. Like, so he could kick on. We'd like to sign a recognised centre half there of 100%. Mountney comes in. Will he nail down the right full spot? You'd obviously want competition from him as well. You'd wonder if young Manny's going to make a step up, and I'm sure, like, look, he's been on the bench for the last 5-6 games of the season. Yeah. I reckon he's definitely going to be involved in the squad now, whether he gets playing time in pre-season, and you know, it could be something like that. Like we seen what happened with the Pats fella at Banquet. He just went into centre half, and then he got moved to Udinese. So Stevie's not, if they're good enough, he seems to be giving them a chance. So it could be a similar pathway to him. We don't know if he's up to that standard, and you probably won't know until he plays games there, if he does play games. So, but you'd like a recognised centre half definitely to sign anyway.
I think you know, Gally, we've also players, I suppose, there's more question mark over the likes of Mayowa, still out on loan. Dungannon Swifts, you know, what way is he going to come back? Does he, you know, from from us chatting to him, you know, at the very end of the season, he was more than content to come back and fight for a place here. That seemed to be what he wanted to do, you know. And like Steph just mentioned, you add in one or two of these other players around it, you know, we probably mentioned earlier as well, you know, the under 19 players that performed so well last year, who's ready for that step up. We think at the start of the year, start of last season, you know, Ryan O'Kane was nowhere near the first team, and he was kind of thereabouts with Tiernan, but Tiernan said he didn't see the player, you know, develop like he developed throughout the season this year. Like, there's always that opportunity, isn't there? And like Steph just mentioned there, Gally, that, you know, Skip's good for giving young players these opportunities, and you think he'll do it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, and there is no better opportunity at Dundalk at the minute. We've had Tiernan on before, I think earlier in last season, maybe in the first season, where we kind of were putting it to him that young players didn't get a chance under Kenny, and what he was saying was, well, they did have their chance. They just, you know, they didn't step up to the mark. They had their 11v11 games during the week. But I think if they're ever going to get a chance, I think Stevie's going to be the man that's going to give it to them. You know, Steph had mentioned Manny as well. Like, you know, I think Steph over the last couple of weeks has lifted a trophy there more than Dundalk. So I think at left back, we're definitely covered there if Darragh Lee is an issue. I think he'd be left back at the match. So I think we're all right there. But like, look, when I go back to the point about Boyle, I think Boyle signing a 2-year contract speaks volumes. I think he's going to be that kind of that go-to player that someone's going to come in and walk off. You know, someone like Manny, like Steph probably hit the nail on the head when January comes in and a lot of the players' contracts, or maybe there's a chance to take them in for loan. You're hoping it's not another 6 months like certain individuals last year, but that's the opportunity now to come in and activate that loan and bring them in, and a chance for them to play like McCarry last season, come in and flourish. And, you know, look, you know, we can sit here and we could, you know, people talk about, we haven't signed a player, but, you know, Stephen O'Donnell he's no dose. I mean, he probably has a list as long as the podcast guests that we've had on this show. But, you know, there's definitely players in the pipeline. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and let's not forget, we probably need up front. I know John Maher and Pinky was saying that he plays number 2. We probably still a bit light up there as well. Yeah, but look, worried. I wouldn't be worried, but I do think we need, like Pinky mentioned at the start of the show, we do need a marquee player. I think we do need someone to come in. Maybe it won't be at centre half, but I do think we need someone with that little bit of experience to come in and do a job, because we're not looking for a squad player now. We actually need a starter at centre half. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, because we're talking they're probably back in pre-season 3 weeks, are they? Like official pre-season. So, you know, if they're not back already or coming back, they're probably back Christmas night, knowing Stephen. But
let's get Greg Sloggett back from New York somehow first.
Yeah, but he's got to sign. We're talking about centre half. He's got to sign someone who can play, who can walk straight in and play. And I don't think you're going to have to wait for this dilemma of who plays. Let's pick between 2 or 3 players. I don't think he's going to have that this year. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes for a marquee signing. Like, I think Dan Casey's come back into he's been released from America. I don't think he signed for anybody yet. Now, whether or not that's an option, Frank had mentioned Ben McCormick. I think he was excellent. He's an excellent player for Pat. So it's going to be, the season could hinge on it. You know, it really could. Like, I mean, you know, the wrong player at centre back. And look, let's not forget Robbie McCourt as well, injury plagued. You know, maybe there's something there that Stephen sees that I definitely don't see. But, you know, that's it. Pre-season is going to be a big tell. I don't think we're going to leave it as late with signings this year. There's a couple of late signings from last year, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks before on loan. I don't think that's going to be a thing this year. But it's whoever's available. There's not many marquees. Steph might be able to be better with players. He probably know more than me on players out of contract. But there's not many marquee signings left in the league, you know, available. So it's going to be a tough few weeks.
They're all at Fleetwood, it seems.
They're all, yeah, that seems to be the club everybody's going to. You know, Brown's doing a cracking job over there signing all the Irish, but I think he's got to get it right at centre half. I don't think we can afford to mess about with it. But look, centre half, striker, I think midfield's covered, but you know, it's a tough few weeks, but I'm sure he's got players lined up. You'd love to see one before Christmas, but I highly doubt now we're going to see anybody before Christmas.
Pingu, your wish list coming in. You know, we're only a few days away from Christmas now, so we might as well do up this your wish list now of what you want coming into this. And you know, all this preparation talk and everything that we have even mentioned the fact that we do need a fairly hefty squad to take on Europe as well. So there's always that this year too.
Yeah, I think top of my wish list is a medium retro jersey. So that's what I want. Like, I'm just still disappointed in Martin Connolly. Like the response that I'll not repeat the response that he gave me, but
I can only imagine.
no, I'd like to see that back four shored up and as you say, have a big signing in place there before the season ends, and I'd love to see McKevitt having one last dance in Oriel Park. So that's another big one for me. So yeah, that's what I'm asking Santi for him. I haven't been a good boy this year, so I don't think I'm getting any of that by December 25th.
Right. And we'll also stick down your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Better Wi-Fi for you. Perfect. And a light maybe.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Actually, turn the light off.
Right, lads. Well, look, I think we've probably covered all the topics that we need to at the moment. We may
Chris,
jump back
what do you want to see? What's on your wish list? Don't we just ask us all? What's on your wish list? Let's catch Chris off guard.
Hang on, lads. I'm asking the questions here. There's nothing on this piece of paper.
It's a napkin.
Yeah, exactly. No, look, it's pretty much the same as yourselves. I just think that even the numbers we had for last year won't cut it for this next season. When you consider when some teams are going to get a bit of a break, we're going to have to take on European football. We don't know what way that travel's going to be. We're going to be seeded for 2 rounds. We hope that works out, and that we'll get a favourable draw in that. But we all know, every time the draw comes out, that there's always a big name in there, and there's always that option that you could get someone big in round 1, which we've had on plenty of occasions, and that's the European dream over after one round. But if we can get a couple of rounds out of that, you need to have a fairly big squad, because you're going to come back, and looking at the fixture list when we put it up before, there's a lot of Friday and Mondays before, and there's going to be Friday and Monday then after if you go through a couple of rounds. So that's a sizable squad will be needed for that alone. And then I think we've heard, am I right in saying that Leinster Senior Cup's back this year, but still no confirmation of the League Cups? So there's an opportunity, if we do get extra players in, that we can actually play them in a competitive match. And I think that's probably the thing that we looked out on. I'm trying to think of when Garth came back, when Davy Mack came back, we were having to throw them in the deep end, and it probably backfired on us 1 or 2 times then as well. This is an ideal opportunity now with Leinster Senior Cup back this year. Get a half decent squad in, get the numbers in, and now there's extra opportunities to play these players, particularly at the start of the year. That when you need to get players up to speed on fitness and stuff like that. I see Darren Means popped in there, and there's one thing nobody else mentioned today, and I've seen it in a lot of places today, and that's Barry Cotter has been mentioned. Probably linked to every club at this stage.
Great season last year.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'd take him in a heartbeat. We were mentioned with him when he first came, and he went to Rovers that time. There was talk of us possibly getting him then, so I'd take that, no problem.
Steph,
sorry lads, I have to go there real quick, but before I do, can I give a special shout out to the lads that are organising the Fuds Cup? This is the 3rd year of it, or the 4th year, but it's taking place. Is it the 23rd, Steph?
Yep. Friday.
Friday, yes. It's
23rd.
Taking place Friday the 23rd. The money is going to, any money they raise is going to the Harry Taft Mental Health Initiative and Féileacáin, which is a charity that's very close to my heart. Now later on, when we kick off next season, I'll be talking a little bit more about something that's in the pipeline for Féileacáin. But not to take away from the lads, I think they've got raffles. They're currently working, and Davy Curran is lighting up social media with photographs and loads of local businesses with goods they're getting for the raffle. So if anybody's listening to this, make sure you get in touch with the lads at Fuds Cup and get your money in for the raffle.
Absolutely.
Disco Dave and Messi all over Instagram last night. That's all I seen.
Right, lads, I have to bounce.
Perfect.
Right,
Thanks,
Merry Christmas, boys.
Thanks, Finger.
Right,
See you, buddy.
we've a good half an hour left on us here.
I'm ready to go back through all the slides again for you, Steph.
Yeah, no, the only thing, look, a couple of people have sort of mentioned to me about Cotter. He seems to, when he signs at a club, he seems to set the place alight, and then he sort of peters off a little bit. But look, we could do with him for the first 6 months anyway, or even throughout Europe. Look, if there's somebody that's going to get him right and playing the right way, we've seen it before. Stevie O'Donnell gets a player playing again, like Chris Forrester come back into the league, and there was question mark over his just not even his temperament or his professionality or anything like that. It was of stuff that happened. I think his sister had been sick or maybe passed away. I'm not too sure. There was something around that. And he's got him playing, and he was in Team of the Year every season since. Look, so if someone can get somebody right, you'd like to think Stevie would be able to. So any question marks about that, I'm sure the boys do the homework, and sure Stevie will know him anyway. So, you know, if that's the type of player he's going to bring in, he's going to be an exciting player for us. And once he's doing the stuff on the pitch and looking after himself off the pitch, then he'd be a great signing for us. And there you go, to be another option at right back. He'd be a different one than Mountain, but
yeah,
you know, another option would be good.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think we need options like that. And we seen last year that, you know, when we needed Mountain to come in, and you know, Mounts is one of those that will play multiple positions for you in that as well, and he's happy to play that backup probably in his latter years now as well. So I think similar to last year, having Macari in and then having the backup then later in the season when Mounts came back was ideal. Have we anything else, lads, we have to actually cover? Have we pretty much gone through everything?
Just how many points we're going to win the league by. That's
yeah. Pingu went all Steph earlier. We were looking at the end of the season and their fixture list and how possibly easy it could be of a run in if we were to have any sort of a challenge, but we realized we lost the run of ourselves very quickly and wheeled ourselves back in.
It's not even 2023 yet. Never mind like pre-season.
Yeah, we're looking into late September, October already, are we?
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, I think we've probably covered everything we could. You know, last week we were about to do the show, and unfortunately the sad news broke about Sean Rooney, and we know the connections in town, and you know, I suppose when you look at any of the news and social media over the past wee while, you can see the impact that he made on, in particular, the community around here. So we you know, pass on our condolences to the family at this hard time. You know, we know we got repatriated in today, and especially coming to Christmas and stuff like that, it can be very, very hard for them. So we just think it was the right thing to do last week, and we're glad we got to do the show today as well. You know, it's great to be able to talk about things like that when, you know, unfortunately not everybody is be able to focus on football like we have tonight. Yeah. So just our condolences to the family there, not to end on a sour note or anything like that. But gents, look, thanks for your time as always. I suppose at this stage, Merry Christmas to both of you, and to Pingu and to Donal as well.
Merry Christmas, lads.
From everyone here in the podcast, for everyone who listens in, watches, comments in tonight, always appreciate that.
And the sponsors.
And of course, our sponsors. I'm getting there, Steph. Don't worry. Our sponsors that we've had, you know, we've had Dundalk Village, our overall sponsor for the whole season, and we deeply appreciate it for that. Of course, Tony's Pizzeria, for our man of the match competition. What way that guys could come back for next year, we'll have to get on to. We have to go on to the guys there. We could have wheels and everything in. Gally could be, you know, this
that wheel's going to be a permanent fixture every podcast.
Yeah, and of course Carl at Player Fit, you know, he's inundated with orders now. You know, you forget all about us, small fries. They've got bigger fish to fry. Look, and just to everybody for watching, listening, throughout the year, we just want to say a big thank you to that. But you know, the contributions for everybody. You know, that's what really makes this podcast for ourselves, and otherwise it's just a couple of lads in these windows talking to ourselves.
And our wives for letting us come on the podcast.
Yeah,
more to the point.
I'll echo that. Thanks, Sean.
More to the point, absolutely. So look, to everyone out there, we wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And of course, we'll definitely see everybody in the new year for season 3. Unless something dramatic happens before that, we could be back once again, doing a live stream for a new player signing. Who knows? Anything could happen.
Watch this.
Yeah, exactly. Until then, who's ending? Am I ending? Is this the end? Am I wrapping this?
Come on, the 10.